Alright, how's it going, guys? So we just got done with our live stream on Saturday night, and we have gotten quite a few things done around here. One is you'll see we don't have our tungsten ores up there anymore, or our tungsten minerals. They have been moved over here now. So they are all right here, and I found my magnifying glass. Each one of these is set to the correct number for the amount that is needed to wash it here in the bath. So tungstate is a 7, and all the rest are 6s, and then that gets dumped into this chest and then bathed and gives us our tungstic acid and the byproduct from it. And as you can see here, we have upgraded our dryer. So we now have a Invar dryer. And you can see we just had some, I'm guessing, scheelite come through. But if you look at this in the dryer, you'll see that 7 of these turn into 4 of those, and we get distilled water out. But the important part is, if you look at the dryer, in yellow text there, it says can be overclocked without additional energy loss. So because it's drying, you're not really overclocking the recipe. You're just drying it with a hotter heat. And so therefore, us running this is not costing us anything more. It's just doing the recipe faster. And with the Invar dryer here, we can use 256 heat units versus the 32 we were with steel. So I made a liquid titanium or tantalum hafnium carbide. And if we light that up, you'll see this goes way faster. Approximately, 4 times? Something like that. 32, 128. No, it'd be like 8 times faster. And everything goes through. We also have a piston down here, and I put a activity cover, this thing here. I put one of these on the back, hit it with my screwdriver, and that changed it to false. And then that runs down to that piston that will shut this off as soon as that's done. Now, we still need an igniter to turn it on, but we've got one step of the automation done, which is we can turn it off. So whenever I come in here, see that it needs to run, I smack it, it turns on, it runs for a while. And this is also using up our hydrogen, giving us more tungsten. I used these ultimate pipes that we had ran in over here, and then they just go to rose gold here after everything else. And so far that has worked very well. We haven't had anything in our overflow yet, so you can see that's nice and empty. And because we're using up the hydrogen, this is also running as often as it can, because we are full on hydrogen up there, which now everything is full, so it's stuck. I did see some code changes that Greg did that might fix this. We complained about it years ago, and Greg didn't care then, but apparently he does now. And so I don't know if it's this or not, but it should be fixed. And this one literally will fix itself as soon as we put something in here that will run. because we don't have this automated for the input yet. But if I come downstairs here, which I still need to get this done, but if we come down here and we grab a stack and we throw it in here, you'll see that it will attempt to do something, but it can't because this is full. But you can see where it's already put some in there. There is a whole lot of Sheelite in here. It's going to be running Sheelite for a long time. So I've actually turned off the sluice. You can see up here we've got lots of Sheelite, tungstate, should be some Huebnerite, Ferberite, all that stuff just waiting to go through. And I probably should turn the centrifuge off for a little while, but I'm just letting it run for the moment. While we were making the THC for our burning box over there, I made a burning box over here and a crucible and mold, so we can now not worry about using that tungsten one that is kind of iffy on how soon it will burn up. Because if you look, this one does not melt down until it hits 5,328 versus the tungsten, which is, let me go ahead and just grab this, 4618. And another good thing about that is if you look at the thermal mass of, where is it up here? There it is. So the THC thermal mass is 7,098. Thermal mass for this is 14,972. So this is half the density of the tungsten. So therefore, it takes half of the fuel to heat it up. So it's more efficient, along with being higher heat. And the other thing we did, which is the main thing we did, is down here in the basement, we have heat exchanger, boiler setup, and centrifuge setup. So I'm going to actually connect this and run it for the first time in a separate video. That way, if anybody wants to try to replicate the build a bit, they don't have to listen to me jaw on about everything else. But I will give you a quick overview of what it is here. So we will have this Invar pipe here, and that'll be connected to these two heat exchangers. But we have to use shutters to turn them off. There's no way to turn off a heat exchanger. You have to turn off the input. So therefore, it's going to run for a little while after you give it the signal to shut off. And we're just going to reuse this one over here to control this one. But then that will output its heat to the top, and there's a circle on the back, which we have these small bronze pipes hooked to. So the lava will come in through the middle, the Pahoho lava will come out through the back, and that pipe is ran down and over and up here and into our steel centrifuge, which we played around with the math a little bit, and we believe that 64 RU will be enough. And this is already hooked up to the gas, so we have fuel in there right now, and we have our automatic shut-off switch for it. And the Pahoho lava will give us a bunch of different nuggets. If I look at lava here, so you'll see that lava in the heat exchanger, 1 liter of it will give you 40 HU. And that will take 5 ticks, or over 5 ticks. And it will give you 1 liter of Pahoho lava back out, which is actually only 100 degrees cooler than the regular lava. And then you can take this Pahoho lava, and if you want, you can turn it into basalt with water. You can turn it into reinforced sapphire glass with sapphire glass. And that's just the basalt stuff. But what we're going to be doing with it is centrifuging it. And you'll see that it uses 100 liters, 144 ticks at 64. So we could have done this at bronze and been the same cost. But instead we did it at steel, because now we can take that steel up if we need to 128, 256. Because the steel centrifuge can go from 64 to 256. And the steel centrifuge does this 2 processes per run, where the bronze only does 1. So it'll double up the process by doing it in the steel. And we have a 90% chance at basalt dust. We have we have a 3% chance 8 times for copper nuggets. We have a 4 times chance of 3% for tin nuggets, 3 times or 3% for lead nuggets, 1 for gold at 3%, and 1 at silver for 3%. So I will end up putting ingots of each one of these over here as we get them out of here. And then whenever we need those, we will just have them right here and we can grab them. So on the back side, past the boilers here, which these are dense tungsten steel boilers, going to large in-bar pipes into a tank extender. That way the steam isn't fighting itself or each other. That is going into a titanium aluminum steam turbine, which can handle steam up to 2304. And the boilers we're doing is 1024 a piece, so 2048, which is inside of that range. And we will be getting roughly 600-ish out of there. And then that is going into a electric dynamo that is HV, and our 64 or 600 RU is going to turn into roughly 400 EU, and that is going into our battery box we made a while back with our 4 nickel cadmium batteries. Now, the other thing that I still need to get done is I need to make electrum wires or cables. If we look at cables in HV, we have gold ones are 512, 3 amp, loss of 1 EU per meter. We have electrum, which is amperage of 2, but its voltage is 1024 with a loss of 1 EU per meter. We have blue alloy cables, which is 1536, amperage of 2 and 1. And then electrotine is the same thing as blue alloy there, but for some reason it's less. I don't understand that, because as far as I know, those are the same thing. Um, blue alloy ingot is all of that crap. And electrotine. Oh, actually, electrotine is different. That is iron and nickelite. Where the... Oh, where'd it go? Blue alloy is silver and nickelite. I didn't realize they were different. Huh. Alright, so you can do either of those as well. And then after that, you go to EV. But I will probably use Electrum. It's what I've always used for HV cables. So we do have nickelite, so we could do blue alloy. It would save us on some gold, but we did go mine up all of that gold. We've got 108. Sorry. We have 108 sitting there. We have all of this that's waiting to go through. But again, we're full. And we have 312 up here. And we've got 600 silver. And with us doing what we just did, well, we have plenty of gold and silver coming in soon. But by doing that, we're going to lose less EU per block that we run this cable. So we're going to be changing out this 8X copper cable. And we're going to be putting in Electrum. And then we'll be able to run that over here to take care of our igniters for the dryer for our aluminum hydroxide, which we could actually run again if we wanted to, and our autoclave for our bauxite. So we will hook that up in a separate video after I put out the build video for the thing down there. I'll have to make some transformers as well. And by building that, we are going to take down this one here. So we have a little bit more room here. We're not going to need the MV any longer since we have the HV downstairs. And that'll give us plenty until we run out of lava. Which, if you guys watch the video of what we are doing down in the mine shaft there, we have a lot of lava. And I'm just going to continue to run that cart further and further down where we have more and more lava to go. And so I will have to keep an eye on it every now and then. I have been thinking about putting in a tank that will keep the lava in so we don't have to worry about the cart coming through and bringing it in. But I think as fast as it runs, it should be okay. You can see this is still full, so, well, it's not full, but it's still got some in it, so it hasn't ran again. But all the way down through here to our tungsten, we've got lava everywhere. So getting more lava is not really going to be an issue. We've got all of this, which we have only really started with that little bit back there. We have no idea how far down it goes. So we should have plenty to run for a little while. And once we get once we get a few major things done around here, we're going to set up a gas turbine to run our natural gas through which will have us in EV. So this is basically just a stepping stone to get rid of some lava, to get us some minerals out of it, and gap us from using natural gas boilers to using lava heat exchangers until we get to the point where we are ready to make our large gas turbine. Oh, and there is another thing that has happened, which is, if you look out here, we're not running our distillation tower anymore because we have ran into the problem of we're full of lubricant. So we've got to deal with that, which I kind of expected. So we have a full tank down here of lubricant. It's time to make a new tank. We're not at the point where we can run a bedrock drill yet, which is what we're going to be using that for. It's probably what we're going to set up one of the things we're going to be doing when we set up the gas turbine. But I'm going to have to set up something for that. Probably going to go with a large titanium. If you look at, let's see if I can find it here. There's too much stuff in there. Let's do it this way. So, for the one we're using right now is a small Invar that holds 1.7. If we go with small titanium, it'll hold twice that at 3.45. But we can also go with a dense one, which would hold 13.8. Or we can go with a large titanium, which is a 5x5, that'll hold a flat 16. And then if you're really crazy, you can go for the dense titanium one, which will hold 64. And then above that, you also have tungsten steel, which is twice as much as the titanium at 128. You have the tungsten one, which is 128. I don't know why you'd ever make the tungsten instead of the tungsten steel, unless you're trying to use it for something that holds acids, because tungsten can hold acids and tungsten steel cannot. And then, later you have adamantium, but that's way beyond what we're at right now. So I'm probably not going to do tungsten steel. I will probably do titanium, and I probably won't do the dense 5x5 one. I will probably just do the regular at 16,000 or 16,000 buckets. But that's going to take a whole lot of titanium because you need a 5x5 of the titanium walls along with the titanium to make the valve, which is 10.5 by itself. And then each one of the walls is 4 titanium. So you're talking 5x5 hollow is 25, 50. We're going to say roughly 100-ish blocks. I think it actually might tell you here. No, it doesn't. It just says 5x5. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of titanium. So we're going to have to get a lot of rutile processed to be able to do that. Now, the next thing we're going to do once we get all of that set up is get back to doing our vitrals. Because then we will have plenty of power for all of our vitrals to run. And I'm actually thinking about hooking up a shredder with a electric motor that we can get rid of this boiler and have it on a run as needed basis. The sluice I definitely want to keep on the boiler because it runs all the time, usually. But the centrifuge and the shredder I may run separate. I haven't decided yet. The shredder we're definitely going to run at the higher speed. So we can run it all the way up at 64. We could go with a steel one, which we could run at 256, but that would be overclocked. So we would actually lose some of it. It would be better to run two of them at 64 apiece, so 128, than to run one of the steel ones at the same speed. But I'll probably up this to 64 and make a electric motor for that. I could use a diesel engine. The only problem with doing that is if for some reason we run out of fuel for the diesel engine, then we don't have a way of processing anything. And if we need to process it and we don't have the fuel, that's a problem. So at least if we do it off of the electric, we can always set up something else to make the electric if we need to. It is going to be more costly, but our electric is coming from lava now, so it's not really going to be that big of deal. Also, this dual smelter setup has run flawlessly. This smelter turned off before this one, and we have ran all of our annealed copper, which we had to use a little bit of it for the build we did, but it ran great. And that is going to be it for today. As always, I will leave a link up here to the live stream if you'd like to check it out. And have a good one. Take it easy. And I will see you next time.